I didn't think we practiced very well at all today. I was frankly pretty displeased with our performance, and I know we're going to have to play a whole lot better if we're going to have even a hope to win in Durham. So I told the guys we just got to play a lot better, and we got to execute the fundamentals better. And hopefully Monday we'll get started and do that better. We practiced better at times during camp. I don't know what happened. I did a poor job of having them prepared to maybe go and play the scouts, and maybe they just kind of took it for granted that we were going to just run the ball down the field at ease and have 3 and outs all afternoon, and that wasn't even close to what happened.
What were you most happy with today?
The effort of the scouts. I was most pleased with their enthusiasm. We had some pass plays. We protected the quarterback. We had some good runs. There were some guys that stood out as you watched them, so there were some good things.
And what was overall in camp? What's the biggest strides you think this team has made over the past 2+ weeks?
I think this team has come together in terms of a centered focus. That I think there's a lot of guys competing for jobs and came in with the idea that was going to be their emphasis, was to try to earn a spot, whether it be on the travel squad or as a starter or to be the kicker or punter or whatever it is. And I think we've done a lot better job, especially this last week, of everybody kind of putting that aside and thinking about just, hey, what's my role and how do I help this team win? And like I said, we should have looked a lot better doing that today, and we did.
Coach, is the frustration the execution or effort, or just?
Well, I mean, we had gave up a big play on the opening drive when the scouts went down and scored. A big pass play that set up a touchdown. We had a big play against the second team defense in the 1-minute drill when Luke Langdon ran it all the way down to the 1-yard line. We missed a bunch of tackles in there. We got freshman scout team guys that are running through tackles, and that's frustration on defense. On offense, we can't protect the passer. People want to know why we can't throw it. I mean, our quarterback's running for his life, and when we do, we've had holding calls and we had illegal blocks and just things that set us back. We were fortunate to get out of that hole down there on our own end, but we had a bunch of scouts that are running off of cards, and they're probably not going to get home on all those blitzes where we turn people free, just because they don't understand as much as a guy that's an ACC defensive end. But Duke's got some great players that we put ourselves in that situation. It's not going to turn out the best for us probably. And the kicking game, we kick off. We've been practicing our kickoff coverage. Our scout team's running off a card, and they return the thing past the 30. We miss a PAT on the scout team. We run a punt block. We don't block it, so we're trying to set up a return. We don't get guys in the right place on the return. I got a whole list of things.
Oh, yeah.
We're not communicating well as coaches on the headsets. I mean, I got a whole bunch of stuff. That's my fault, every bit of it. I got to take care of it, and I'm going to.
Coach, we had talked a little bit on media day, just to backtrack a little bit. You were talking about those penalties, and I was going to hint that you did have a successful first drive, but one of your next successful drives, Kel got a big play taken back. There were a lot of penalties there. In terms of improvement, do you think when you fix those penalties, is it a physical thing, a mental thing? I mean, granted, you want the kids to be tough, and when you're running the ball, a lot of those holding calls are going to happen, but what do you think they have to do to kind of improve on that aspect of the game? Do you think they're kind of lacking it a little bit? Was it fatigue out there?
It's all mental focus. It's like I talked to the guys. And it's my fault. I've got to get that group to make sure that they're prepared no matter who we play. Today it was the scouts lined up as Duke, and I didn't do a good job. It's my fault. These are just the things that we're not doing well, and there's nobody to point the finger at but me. So it's focusing on doing those things the right way, the way they're supposed to be done, the way they've been coached, and for our coaches to do that as well and to hold them to a standard. And so I'm confident that we will do better. We can do better. We're capable of better. I've seen us do it. The same guys, I saw them do it all last year. I've seen us do it in camp. We just didn't do it very well today. And with that said, there were some good things. There were some good runs, and there were some good blocks, and there were some good tackles. And passes well defended, and we had some sacks, and there were some positive things. But if you take all the negative things that happened for us with the guys that are the so-called travel squad, there were enough things there that it would keep us from winning just about every game we play.
Coach, just maybe talking about your offensive line, you said you're frustrated a little bit on pass blocking. You have Mike Johnson, Jeff Panera in there, a couple of other new players. How do you feel like the offensive line is doing both run blocking and then pass blocking?
Well, I mean, we didn't score on every single drive, and we didn't protect our passer every time we dropped back, and it wasn't like we were ripping off 50-yard runs every single time, so there's room for improvement. Those guys are a hard-working bunch. They practice as hard and as physical as anybody on our team, and I don't know if there's an offensive line in the country that it grinds as hard as they do in practice on the sled and in the chutes, and we have to. We have to. That's our offense, and we've got to be tough, effective run blockers that play with great pad level, and we can't make mistakes. We're the kind of offense we can't put ourselves in long yardage situations with negative yardage plays, with foolish penalties, and it wasn't all the fault of the offensive line. There's 11 guys out there. They're no more at fault than anybody else, but I think they could have played better, and they've got to play better. But I think we've got a good enough group that we can be effective with that offensive line. You take our center. He's our team captain. Bryce Holland's been with this program a long time, and Mike Johnson has played a lot. Jackson Deaton has played a lot. Let's see, Alex Herndon, who's returning 2 years ago, played quite a bit. J.B. Hunter's a guy I'm really excited about. He's just a sophomore, but I think he's going to be a good player. Austin Shuford's played a lot, started games last year. There's enough guys out there that they can get it done. They're capable, and we're going to figure out a way.
Talk a little bit with Chandler Ramirez today. We talked with Ken Brinson last week. I thought Ken Brinson had a lot of energy in his game today.
He probably did. I didn't notice and single out players, but I'm probably guilty of not finding the single players to say, hey, this guy had a really good scrimmage and this guy had a really good scrimmage. The bottom line is, to me, is how do we play as a team, and I don't think that the team performed well enough for us to win a football game against somebody else, and we're going to have to figure out how to do that so that we can give ourselves a chance to win.
Chance for looking at some of the special team players, kickers. John Abercrombie, you had kicking on several situations. How do you feel about that part of the game, special teams?
Sawyers, Abercrombie have been around the program. Those guys are veteran players. There's a kid named Harding, Zach Harding, who's a freshman punter. He's done a good job punting the ball. He's got a really strong leg. Schrag didn't kick today. We're just holding him out, a little sore. I think there's a good enough group of specialists that they're going to be able to do a good job for us. But like the rest of the team, there's got to be consistency, and there's got to be attention to fundamentals and detail all the time.
Did you like what you saw from the freshman quarterbacks today on the scout team with Krasinski and Maboni? I mean, they seemed to do pretty well today.
I thought all those guys really did some good things, and those guys stood out. Krasinski throwing the ball and Maboni running the ball. And Maboni throws a good ball too. I mean, he's just a really good athlete. He's a strong runner. He's got a strong arm and a quick release, and you saw that just standing out here watching. And he's a ways away from the mental part of it, but he's going to get there, and I think he's going to be a really good player for us. But Jabari Laws and Tyher Tyler, along with those other two guys we mentioned, have both had good camps too. So I think there's a nucleus of young quarterbacks that are really going to help this football program in the future.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Charles, the storm's coming, so.
Let's not get hit by lightning.